Alright, I apologize this video is so long overdue, but I've gotten enough questions on swapping out Joy-Con SL/SR buttons that I've decided to show that process. Thankfully, it's all pretty straightforward. You'll need some of the same tools as before: a Y0 tri-wing screwdriver, a Phillips 00 screwdriver, a set of tweezers, an opening pick, and of course your replacement buttons. Getting started with the right controller, we'll remove these 4 external screws with our Y0 screwdriver. Note, these security screws can be incredibly troublesome. They tend to strip quite easily and make the whole process much more involved. So please be patient and cautious when removing them. Next, we'll take our opening pick and pry apart the 2 shell halves. It's a good idea to disconnect the battery to avoid shorting out any components, and you can remove the backplate to get it out of the way, but I'll just leave them attached for simplicity's sake. Now we'll take our Phillips screwdriver and remove the 2 screws holding the LED ribbon cable in place. I find it easier to use the tweezers to extract the SL/SR buttons from the railing. Once done, we'll need to swap the rubber membranes from the old buttons to the new ones. Next, we can reinstall the buttons in the correct position. The SR button has the 2 stems on it, and you'll want to place it in the opening with the thinner guide post. The other slot, with the larger U-shaped guide, is where the SL button will go. Now, we need to reposition the ribbon cable so that the right notch and left guide post line up. And we can reinstall our same Phillips screws back in place and secure them. If you removed the backplate or disconnected the battery, you'll want to reattach those now, before lining up the 2 shell halves and working our way around the controller until they click into place. Be careful to avoid pinching any internal cables in the process. Finally, we're going to reinstall the 4 rear screws. Be cautious to not screw them in too tightly, as metal screws can strip plastic pretty easily. And with that, the right one is done. On to the left. We'll remove the same 4 screws with our Y0 driver. And pry the 2 halves apart with the opening pick. Again, you can disconnect the rear plate and the battery if you'd like. Then we'll want to remove the 2 screws holding the ribbon cable to the railing. We can remove the SL/SR buttons while making sure that the sync button stays in place. Now we're ready to transplant the rubber membranes into our new buttons and reinstall them in the controller. Again, make sure the SR button with the 2 stems matches the thinner single guide, and the U-shaped guide goes with the SL button. The tweezers may help you get everything lined up. Next, we want to get the LED strip back in position using the right post and left notch as a guide, before we reinstall the 2 screws that hold it in place. Now, we'll line up the 2 shell halves and clip them down, making sure, again, to not pinch any wires inside. And lastly, we can resecure the backplate with the 4 external screws. If you want to try to avoid strip screws in the future, we offer replacement screw kits to convert those external ones to Phillips heads instead. Hopefully that cleared things up for anyone needing to swap out their SL/SR buttons. If you're looking for the full shell swap, you can find that here. Also, feel free to check out our site or Etsy shop to grab a set of custom buttons of your own. And thanks so much for watching.